Okay. Just teasing.
I thought.
Stick and we'll get going. Do it. Okay, we'll get started in about 15 seconds. He's good in the booth. I see him over there. Yep.
Heard a knock, yep.
Okie dokie. Okay, are we ready, guys?
Good.
Ready, Dean? Okay. All right. We will call to order the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, August 15th, 2018. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Bonnie.
Klaus,
Here.
Wheelock,
Yes, ma'am.
Gore-Follett,
Here.
Mayor,
Here.
Lathrop,
Yep.
Crawford,
Here.
and Commissioner Johnson is excused tonight.
Okay, we have approval of the minutes. We have minutes of July 25th, 2018, that was the study session. August 1st, 2018, a regular meeting, and August 6th, 2018, the special meeting.
Madam Chairman, I would move to approve the minutes from July 25th, August 1st, and August 6th. Support.
Moved by Commissioner Wheelock, supported by Commissioner Klaus. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Cell phones down, please. Thank you. Okay, this is our chance for first public comment. Bonnie, will you read the rules, please?
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4 Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson. Please be respectful and refrain from personal or political attacks.
Okay, do we have anyone for first public comment today? Nobody? Come on up.
My name is Sheila Dinger from Benzie County. I want to address this to Nate Alger. This is in response to Deb Zaraf's firing as your animal control officer. My animals were stolen, all 9 of them. 3 horses, 4 dogs, a cat, and a bunny from my family for absolutely no reason. No complaints, no abuse, nothing. By Jamie Kroll, your new supervisor, in Benzie County Animal Control. I had a mare for 22 of her 24 years. She was blind and needed her buddy. Animal Control split them up, and my mare was put down because she was blind, and she was unsafe because she went crazy when she couldn't hear her buddy's bell. I cry in the morning, afternoon, and night. My heart is broken. The pain is unimaginable. All my animals were adopted. Benzie County has offered to buy me new ones. You investigated Deb and came up with 10 pages of accusations. She was good one day for you, and the next she wasn't good enough for you. Did you investigate Jamie Kroll? Obviously not. She wouldn't have passed your background check. If any of you had been fired from another county and had a federal lawsuit currently on you, you wouldn't have your jobs, and Jamie Kroll shouldn't have hers. This is underhanded. This is your Jamie Kroll. You picked her over Deb Zarafa. You picked the wrong one. You were all in a position to watch out for this kind of stuff going on. Shame on all of you. Jamie Kroll should not be working around animals. This could happen to you. She is your liability now. And thank you all for helping Deb pass the millage for the animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Go ahead.
I'm Tom Dilly from Fife Lake, Michigan. This is a letter that I'm reading to Nate Alger and the county commissioners as well, the citizens of Grand Traverse. As a practicing veterinarian and a regular veterinarian on Animal Planet, I would like to comment on the wonderful animal control officer Grand Traverse had for several years until her abrupt and unlawful firing. It's very disturbing to see what the county resorted to by firing Deb Zarafa and replacing her with Jamie Kroll. I have first-hand knowledge and can testify to the past of Jamie Kroll and her sundry actions in Benzie County. I'm the veterinarian involved in the federal lawsuit filed against Mrs. Kroll, where she deliberately and without cause violated Fourth Amendment rights in Benzie County and illegally seized 9 animals. On December 12, 2017, Mrs. Kroll entered into a horse boarding facility and illegally seized 3 horses that were blanketed, happy, and living a life of luxury, along with 6 other animals. You would think Mrs. Kroll would have known better with other animal control staff to escalate fees, as she claims to have 7 to 8 years of experience. But without any authority, she illegally seizes 9 animals. She teamed up with other animal control staff to escalate fees so their return would be impossible, and within 2 days had one of the horses killed, then proceeded to shun the owner of the animals for 7 days in order to adopt the rest of the animals out, all the while knowing the owner was fighting to get them back. Then, on her own authority, she gave the surviving horses to a friend of hers. This smacks of deceit so ugly and so incriminating that I cannot fathom how she remains in a job where public trust is supposed to be paramount. I suggest you seek some competent representation, as you're going to need it as you continue to employ Mrs. Kroll, who is already a huge liability. It would behoove you to conduct background checks and do some basic research before hiring someone who is fired from another county, Benzie County, and is incompetent as an animal control officer. Deb was the epitome of the finest animal control officer, and you blew it by not promoting and ultimately firing her. Additionally, Mrs. Zarafa has the overwhelming support of the community, and Mrs. Kroll will remain in her shadow despite the county's attempts to undermine Mrs. Zarafa. Additionally, Mrs. Kroll could not even pass a basic background check if one had been done, which obviously no one did.
You can finish the
And
letter.
that's signed D. Thornell, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, also known as Dr. D of Alaska.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment today? No? Oh, okay.
Lisa Leatherman, 595 South Rouge Road, Traverse City, Michigan. And I'd just like to note that as I watch the commissioners and the people sitting around this table, some of you I know and some of you I don't, it looks like you're disinterested to me. Some of you picking your fingers, some of you looking down half asleep, dazed, and I just don't appreciate it. I'd like to know how you guys each feel about what's happened. I know you know a lot about it, and I know Deb did a lot for this county, but I think that you're too chicken to say anything.
So just to note, we generally don't comment during public comment. It's the public's chance to comment. Is there anybody else for public comment this time? Okay, we're going to move on to approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions?
Madam Chairman, I would move to approve the amended agenda as it was provided tonight.
Okay.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Wheelock, supported by Commissioner Klaus. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. Move on to the consent calendar. Bonnie, please.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file, or approval, is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. A, receive and file. Number 1, second quarter treasurer's report. Number 2, road commission, August 15th report. Number 3, Grand Traverse Conservation District, July 2018 report. B, approvals. Number 1, Sheriff's Office, Evidence Property Room Surplus. Number 2, Resource Recovery Transfer State Designation Agreement, Glenn's Landfill. Number 3, Resource Recovery Transfer State Designation Agreement, Waters Landfill. Number 4, Health Department, Healthy Futures Services Agreement, Amendment Number 13, renewal. Number 5, July 2018 claims approval. Number 6, fiscal year 2018 budget amendments. Number 7, surplus equipment, governmental center lower level, declare surplus and approve disposal.
Okay, does anybody have anything that they would like removed from the consent calendar and discussed?
Number 7.
B7? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, do we have a motion to accept the rest of the consent calendar?
I'll motion to accept the rest of it and pulling number 7.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Mayer, supported by Commissioner Lathrop. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have no special orders of business, so we will move on to B7. Tom?
How are we going to go about disposing of the property, the surplus? Are we going to have a sale of some kind, or?
At this point, we haven't fully identified the mechanism yet, but Mr. Bott, Mr. Colburn, they've toured that area, and none of that property has any value in terms of an asset to the county or the city. We've kicked around a couple different ideas. One would be somewhat of a garage sale, or allow employees and staff to have first access to the property and/or push it out to the public for a certain day to come in and view it, take it, pay for it if you choose. But ultimately, it just needs to be destroyed, disposed of.
Okay, I know that Parks is rearranging some of the buildings at the Civic Center to use for other purposes, and some of them were used for storage. So there's also more surplus there, perhaps. But whatever isn't saleable, that is metal, for example, I would suggest sending it off to the recycler.
Yeah.
So, not just throwing it away.
Joe and I have had conversations specific to that, and the downstairs is just the start, but there are metal items that could certainly be scrapped for revenue for the county, but most of it's going to be, it's just junk. It's old.
Yeah. And on the computers, if there's screens and things like that, monitors and stuff, there's at least one place in town that disassembles it so that it's,
Not hazardous.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, so that it doesn't go into the landfill as a hazardous material, in other words, because we wouldn't want to do that. I just don't know, whether, this just looks like part of it to me, and that there's 3 or 4 other parts of it around that would be nice if it was all sold at once, maybe, I don't know.
Logistics is playing a hand in that,
Yeah.
but I understand that, and we need to have at least Dean and some of the department heads to tour the other places where this stuff is stored, so we know what's there. As an example, we had a bunch of film laying around that had data on it. Do we want to get rid of that or not? We just don't know. So somebody needs to see those items before we decide to declare them surplus. Specifically in the basement, we've walked through there, and there's no value to those items.
And then once the basement is, center lower level is considered the basement, like the old cafeteria or the current cafeteria?
It's the section to the north as you walk out of the store.
Oh, okay.
The stairwell.
So the opposite.
The old
end.
EOC.
The opposite end of the basement.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. At some other point, then we're going to discuss, a possible business like a daycare or some other business going into the old cafeteria, or the current cafeteria, I should say?
That is correct. We're still working with the city. The city is proposing some type of a poll to the employees to see what they need, what they would prefer.
Yeah, I would vote for daycare, but I know that other people might be interested in it, so.
Cheryl?
I was just going to suggest that, you know, if it wasn't too big of a burden, to have someone take pictures and post them to our website. You know, as much as it would be nice to say, let employees have at it, I mean, the taxpayers actually bought that stuff, so and I don't know, maybe it is all junk, but one man's junk is another man's art project or another person's office that they might want to, you know, it just strikes me that the fairest thing to do would be to make it available to everybody.
Okay, we can do that. The first step is to declare it surplus so we can actually prepare for its disposal. The mechanism can come second, and we can certainly do that.
Sonny?
Yeah, having held community corrections meetings in that former EOC building or room for a number of years, I can tell you that there's furniture piled on top of furniture and stuck in the corner on top of tables and anything else that we can have down there, most of which is probably non-functional, you know. So I think, you know, the idea of disposing of it, that's the first piece. We got to authorize the disposal of the equipment, of the asset, and then how we do that, you know, whether we post it to a website, whether we call Goodwill or Father Fred and see if they will just come and haul all of it away. You know, I'm not opposed to that option either. I can tell you that scrap is reduced in cost about 80% in the last 30 days. So if you were going to sell scrap steel, you'd have been better off to have sold it about a month and a half ago.
Because of tariffs?
Whether it's the tariff or whether it's China's not buying scrap steel, one or the other. But anyway, the price of scrap has went from about $285 a ton to $135 in the last 30 days. So that's for what that's worth. So, yeah, we definitely need the space. You know, I think we've all been a little bit lax, and we've had places where we could just kind of stuff stuff. And it literally has happened. And the basement's not the only place. We have buildings at Maple Bay. We have buildings at the Civic Center. We have buildings at, you know, other places. You know, we have other buildings that are much newer than that probably have some extra stuff stored in them too. So we, you know, I remember when we had two churches that were literally filled with boxes and boxes of stuff, and the hassle it took to get rid of those. So, you know, the first thing we have to do is acknowledge that it's surplus, so we can get rid of it, and then ask staff to direct a way to get rid of it. You know, like I said, there's, to the best of my knowledge, at least what I've seen down there, there is literally no value to it.
Do you know, Mr. Wheelock, that we have a car, an antique car in a barn? We own it. It's been sitting there on blocks for years. That's the kind of stuff that we're seeing. It's just there's stuff everywhere, and there's really no business for us to hold this. We need to dispose of it, whether it goes back to public use or it goes back to a benevolent organization. All that can come next, but we just need to, there's no reason to hold the stuff any longer.
So do you need a motion to accept number 7?
Yes, we
So
do.
moved.
Support.
I'll second. Go ahead.
Go ahead. That's fine.
Moved by Commissioner Gorfulet, supported by Commissioner Wheelock. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to departmental items. Commission on Aging, Home Care Management System. Welcome, Cindy.
I'm Cindy Kinlan with the Commission on Aging. So tonight we're requesting approval of signing a contract with MedSys Software Solutions for implementation of our home care management system. We've been working closely with Ming Mays to really identify a company that we think can provide us with everything that we need going onward. And Ming was one of the, really wanted to make sure that we were web-based and that, you know, the security was tight. So I did provide a handout. If you have any questions regarding that or any other questions regarding the cost. I tried to, I look at, you know, really can't compare us with like Munson Hospital, so I really did a comparison of, you know, physicians, groups, that kind of thing that I thought was more level with us, and that was definitely within the realm of what they've been spending. Also, our we have purchased a new, through the Registry of Deeds, the software there is the same cost that it would be annually. A lot of times when you look at costs that might look like they're smaller annually, there's a lot of hidden costs, like providing the public server, it takes like an extra person to do that, and a lot of different things, the constant updates that's needed, it's already done by MedSys. So we feel like we finally have really a good company and we can get a good product.
So do you, the yearly cost of 63,000, is that budgetable going forward? Can
Yes,
the
it'll-
COA handle that every year?
For the next 2 years, it's already, we have the cost set aside, so we have planning for, that would be that amount. We already have 147,000 set aside, and of course, it'll be implemented at the end of this year, it won't be that full cost of the
Okay.
next year. Of 2019, you see that 63,000.
Okay.
And I have met with Nate and Dean for review to make sure that it was also all right with them. So we reviewed it, the advisory council, and they were unanimous. Cheryl wasn't able to be present, but the rest of them gave unanimous approval. And we reviewed it and we discussed it for the special meeting.
Okay. Anybody else?
It's a crazy cost. It's an obscene cost. I mean, it's really hard to swallow. $63,000 a year for HIPAA compliance, basically, is what we're talking about. It's just crazy. I mean, what did we pay before this?
About 10,000.
That was for the system that didn't work.
Mhm.
Okay, and before that, what did we have? Nothing?
We
I
have
believe
paper,
we weren't
I guess it
HIPAA
wasn't HIPAA
compliant.
compliant, that was before I was here.
Mhm.
We're doing everything due diligence. I mean, electronic client record system is really paramount. We do our, again, our payments, our billing, accounts receivable, our scheduling. We're looking for it to do everything. Again, you can get maybe a cheaper item and then still there are all these hidden costs. We'd have to hire somebody
Okay.
if we
Yep.
wanted to maintain
So-
a server.
So just so I can wrap my head around this number, all of those things that you just cataloged, this system will do.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
that sounds like 3 or 4 people that we would have had to need to do that if we didn't have the system. Yes?
Yeah, at least a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
An IT person. yes.
Absolutely, okay. So I think that that's a really good way to present it, because when you hear $63,000 annually for a software program, it's pretty hard to go, yay! But if you sell it as a system that's going to do the work of all the things that you just cataloged, it's palatable, okay? I mean, that's how I have to justify it, because we're always being sold software. I mean, it never ends, you know? How do we ever stop this software bleed? Because it's every year, there's another $100,000 software program that's gonna make our lives better. But this is people in the guise of software, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
So correct me if I'm wrong, there was significant like cut and paste, literally cut and paste going on before this for a lot of this stuff.
Right now, it's kind of, yeah.
Literally cutting paper and.
I believe it's
Paper.
more hit and miss, and there may have been more misses than there was hits.
Yeah. Tom?
Oh, can I ask Ming a question?
Sure.
No.
If Ming's willing to come and answer, I'm sure she is.
Yes.
So based on everything we have here before us to make this decision, you support it, you completely agree? or-
Yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Is this normal, that the annual yearly fee is constant like that just doesn't change? And how many years is it for?
Well, you can actually do it, sometimes they do it by how many customers you have.
Mhm.
But that would have been more expensive, so we chose to do it by user.
Uh-huh.
It's just much more efficient.
It says 35 users,
And will you have 35 users?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, they're not going to charge us for the home chore because they're going to be involved in far as the documentation. They're really using it just for like scheduling and figuring out where maps and where they need to go. So they're not even charging us for their usage. So that's how.
So how many years is it for?
Forever.
What do you mean?
63, I mean, the cost.
Well, I don't know.
What's the
67
contract?
is 1 year.
But, well, how long are we signing a contract and how long is the contract for? Or are we purchasing it and we're signing up for the support for 63,000 for every year?
It's an ongoing
It's
cost.
ongoing cost.
It's an ongoing cost, but is there a contract related to it? It's,
Yeah, forever just sounds a little unusual to me. but-
yeah,
I don't think it's forever. It's forever that we want to
Contract
continue
agreement with
work
MedSys
with
Software
the-
Solutions for implementation of a home care management system, but there's no sunset on that. There's no end date. Have you looked at the
I
contract?
can't imagine they'd want to enter into a contract for eternity at that rate, because things might change on their end.
Truly, if we don't pay for the, if we don't pay the 67, they will cut us off because it's a cloud-based. You know what I mean? So I don't think we'll have an end date contract.
But can they jack the price up since we're not signing it for a term of years?
Yeah, that's the concern.
Yeah, well, if we
there's not
stop-
an end date or a renegotiation
I
of the
mean, what if they
contract.
come to us in 3 years and they say now it's 85?
User, so if we have less people using it, that would reduce the cost. I don't really anticipate.
Can I ask, do we have a
Give the
draft
mic.
contract? Do we have a draft?
Yeah, I'm looking for a term.
Because obviously, they can work with me, we can draft the right contract to address these concerns.
Yeah, just because you didn't pay for it and they take you off of the cloud, doesn't mean they're not going to bill us for it, like we didn't pay it on time, so.
Will 3-year terms reasonable?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
this
three
is
we
something,
probably
this is,
able
these
to
are all
do 3 years.
details we can work out.
Okay.
Okay.
Not a problem at all.
Well, I have no
Because the-
problem with it if you're going to fix a term, because otherwise it just sounds like kind of loose to me.
Yeah. The resolution is that authorizes either myself or Nate to effectuate the necessary documents, so we won't
They'll
sign
be-
it unless it's
they'll be
at the
reviewed.
date. Oh,
And
you'll review
Ming,
it.
it's compatible with the system that you're putting in place, or does it have no connection to that?
It's not really have connection to it because it's a cloud-based.
Okay.
And also because it's the HIPAA compliant, they have the high trust, will be way better than what we can do here for them. So that's why I support this.
So if Commission on Aging were to change locations from where they are, is this a portable system?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So it can
It
go
doesn't
anywhere?
matter, they can
Anywhere.
do it anywhere.
On
Yeah.
your laptop.
Great.
Madam Chairman, I would move to authorize the administrator and chairman of the board to sign the contract for the healthcare management, home care management system with MedSys upon review by the civil council.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Wheelock, supported by Commissioner Mayer. Any further discussion?
I guess the comment that I would make is I know that I used to buy a lot of software that you could just come and load into your computer. You don't get it that way anymore. Everything I buy has an annual renewal, and I'm stuck buying it whether I like it or not. The idea that I could buy software and it was good for 5 years, it doesn't work that way anymore. Everything is, yeah, you can buy the software, but you still pay them an annual service fee. Clear down to Office 365 now, you pay for it annually instead of buying a disc.
Most computers don't even have disk drives anymore.
Yeah, well, there
I know
you go.
mine doesn't, yeah.
My new ones don't have either.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, employee recognition team and IT. Who's going to speak on behalf of employee recognition team today?
Nope.
We're going to talk about logo design. Yep.
It's on, it does that. No, there's another one.
Technical difficulties,
Talk
hold
about the
on.
logo. So,
Oh.
and I think
Okay, you have a different one.
Okay, so they don't see me a lot tonight. So I'm here tonight to representing behalf of the employee recognition team
Okay.
and the staff that are interested to possibly to change our county logo. And seeking your permission to accept logo design submission to bring the top design back for consideration. And actually, myself, I'm just a presenting person. I want to thank Sarah Adams. Actually, she put a lot of work on this example, the sample for the logos for the county and all the data she put it together in front of you. Actually, it's her work. I don't want to take credit on it. So thank you, Sarah. The current county logo is adopted in 1974, which is, I mean, this logo has been around 44 years. The purpose of the redesign is to rebrand and bring a modern look to our for our county logo. It is going hand in hand with the county website redesign that is coming in 2019. And also is in line with the IT action plan to bring our county technology to 21st century. We felt that this is a perfect timing to redesign our logo. If a new logo is selected, the plan would be to phase it in. We're not going to trash everything that we have. We're going to ease it in. When we need to order a new stock, and we will replace it with the new logo, of course, with your approval. I'm hoping you will allow the staff to accept the new logo design submission and bring possible design back to the board for approval. So that's why I'm here.
What do we think? Anybody?
Well, I think it's good to take a look at the logo and consider changing it. I kind of like a logo that looks a little bit like a seal, and I'm not sure what those leaves are on the current one. Does anybody know what those leaves are? What
It's
they look?
supposed to be cherry.
Cherry leaves? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But are you looking at changing all these logos? Is that the idea?
No, actually, only two of them, it will be affected. So like the health department is kind of, this is a little bit thing on the bottom. And then the emergency management, truly, you just kind of change the logo, it'll be pretty easy. And the other one, we truly just going to leave it.
And so you're asking, when you say the staff to do it, you mean just any county employee can make some suggestions on who's going to do this?
We are thinking kind of just getting out there as almost like a contest, and hopefully we have maybe a little funding, maybe a little award basket so have more people want to do it, and then of course put their name on the paper like they did it, So that's what we're thinking, the first step.
So we'd get to see all the examples, or somebody else would narrow them down, or?
I guess depend on how many submission. I don't think you want to see, hopefully we have a great number, right? But I don't think you want to see hundreds, and I think it would be great that we can narrow it down, and of course talk to the admin team and then the employee recognition team and see if maybe we can narrow it down. Hopefully we have 10 for you to look at and see, hey, which one is more exciting.
Do you know if the one that we're using currently, was that designed by a member of an employee?
I believe so.
Who was that?
Do I have the name? Sarah, do you have the name? I know you gave me something, but I don't remember.
Beg your pardon? And who was he? Okay. And I guess the point that I wanted to raise, and I did bring this up at the agenda meeting, was that, I don't know how many employees would jump at the opportunity to try and design a logo, or how many employees would have, the skill set or the art background or whatever to do that. I mean, maybe we have a lot of people on staff who have that expertise. But I know that we have a lot of people in the county who, go to NMC and are in the art program, or they've designed or submitted for the Cherry Festival logo, or, this isn't the first rodeo as far as contests for logos. And so I guess I'm just interested in the mindset of why you would want to restrict it to the employees, and if it wasn't restricted to the employees, if it would be less meaningful than if it was opened up to the county as a whole. So I'm interested in the team's thoughts on that.
Do we have someone from the recognition team might be able to? Sarah, please.
The team's open to whatever the board would like to do, so if you'd like it to be an internal submission or a community submission, we're open to any of those ideas. The reason that we brought it forward tonight was to make the ask to see if it's possible to redesign the logo in coordination with things that we're doing with IT and the website.
Okay.
Sunny? And then Dan, sorry.
Well, I guess, I'm thinking back to an article that was in the Ticker a month or so ago about the city's logo and trying to figure out where it came from and how long it's been around. And that was a community contest that a couple guys won back in the 60s, I think, but anyway, they won $300 to design the logo, and the city's still using it. Somewhere along the way, the county's logo has a little bit become distorted because COA created their own, Parks and Recreation created their own. The sheriff's office is always going to use the sheriff's logo as it is, but I remember when Harold Barr made the decision that it needed to be the Grand Traverse Sheriff's Office, not the Grand Traverse Sheriff's Department. That literally cost Grand Traverse County thousands of dollars. We had to re-letter cars, we had to change signage, we had to change logos on uniforms. Just the decision to make it the sheriff's office instead of the sheriff's department literally cost the taxpayers of this community thousands of dollars. Dean can probably go back and find exactly how much, but I remember that it was a big price tag. There was a lot of work went into doing it. I have no problem with creating a new logo, but I believe we need to open it up to the community and see what's out there, because Cheryl's absolutely right. We have some great graphic design people in this community that can come up with some really cool options for us. But when that happens, I would like to see all of these organizations, other than the sheriff's emblem that's always going to be there, all of these other county organizations need to incorporate the county's logo.
Let's go with Dan and then Nate, if that's okay. Dan?
Is this something that we'll be paying county employees to do on the job? Okay, this should be a volunteer thing.
Nate?
So we're going to have, obviously, some work to do through the managers' meetings to get these other entities to buy into that concept, because each of these departments have their own identity through an emblem and through a logo. So we were hoping to get the board's consent to even enter into this concept and see what we could get in terms of the idea as a logo. But we need to have the departments buy in ahead of that, so we don't spend a lot of time doing.
As far as I'm concerned, if we're going to have a Grand Traverse County logo, all of these departments need to buy into that logo.
That's
too.
correct.
When you look at the Grand Traverse County Parks and Recreation logo, it looks absolutely nothing and like it has no connection whatsoever to Grand Traverse County. If we're going to have a county logo, all county departments need to buy into that. And I understand that the Michigan Sheriff's Association has the Michigan Sheriff's logo that's going to be on every county sheriff's car. I'm fine with that. But the logo, the other insignias that are on all of the county vehicles and things should incorporate the county's logo.
Well, and there should be a way that the unique departments could have something that still defines them, but like their letterhead should have whatever this logo is on it, and the vehicles, and, there should be a defining logo and then a subhead or something that could differentiate the other departments. So, but I think what they're looking for is some incentive, and I think that that's appropriate too. I mean, rarely do you have these contests without a prize.
Sure.
Not being paid not to work, but a prize for the winner. And so I guess I would suggest that we talk about what an appropriate prize would be. I mean,
Well,
it
I think-
needs to be meaningful.
Go ahead, Sunny.
I think Nate's right, though. I think we need to know that we're going to have buy-in from the departments first, because we don't want to go in and do this thing and then have them say, no, we've got ours and we're staying there. Not that it should necessarily be their authority anyway.
Yeah.
But the point is, I think what we need to do, we probably need to study this just a little bit better and come back with an actual proposal that we're going to have a public contest that's going to run from
Right.
September 1st to
November 1st.
November 23rd, November 30th, and, or 6 weeks' time, whatever the situation is, and then ask for a nominal, financial prize to the winner, $500, whatever the number is, but I think that's the way we did, but I think I'd like to see, number one, notify the department heads that if the county adopts a new logo, they will be incorporating that logo in all county documents.
I think that's what they're looking for today is should we scrap this whole idea or can we continue to pursue this? And
That was the intent.
I would move that we direct the administration to go forward and come back to us with a plan.
We'll have to work with this, because I guarantee you that somebody from the Parks and Recreation Board is passionate about this logo. So we'll have to come up with some parameters. Commissioner Follett may have nailed it. Anything official letterhead or official website is going to have this logo, and you can have a sub-logo somewhere else. But our logo is this. The committee, this is a 44-year-old logo. I'm not even sure what it means. And maybe there is something that's more relevant.
Well, I don't think 44 means beans. I'm 64, and I question my relevance all the time. So, I don't know that the age has anything to do with it.
Well,
I kind of think it's kind of cool myself. I see it, and it says Grand Traverse County to me, but.
I just don't know what it means. So.
What does it mean?
So we have
That's
a motion.
cosmic question there.
I will support the motion to
continue to
authorize staff
discuss.
to continue the
Okay.
investigation of creating a new county
Okay.
logo.
So it was
But
moved by Commissioner
there are
Gorfulich and
certain
supported by
stipulations that they
Commissioner
have.
Wheelock.
Yeah.
Now
There
we
are
can,
stipulations that I have
stipulations
if we're going to move forward with changing the county's logo.
I guarantee you this won't be the last time you hear about this before it's acted on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
I just want to say before we vote, that I like this idea. It does need to kind of be fleshed out a little bit more, but this is kind of the thing. Remember when last year we delivered the pins? You're giggling.
Well, I had a good time.
And this is the kind of thing that I was in with the employee recognition team to do that, to deliver all the little gold pins, and the 7 of us, maybe the public doesn't know, the 7 of us each had about a 1/7 of the county employees to deliver to, trying to get the employees to feel good about where they worked. And so I like this, because this is just showing that it's working. What's that?
I found 3 in a cup holder in my truck.
Well, then you didn't finish your job. No, we gave little gold Grand Traverse County pins to all the employees, and the commissioners fanned out and did that, so that, and I like it, it must have planted a little seed that we should, just try to be proud of where we work, and the fact that we've kind of stuck together, and Team Awesome and all that, kind of going forward with all of that, so I like it. So, Tom, and then we'll vote.
Okay, here's a very small image, but it does not include the current logo on the website as of today, and hasn't since I've started here.
Really?
Which I think is a miss.
It's
know,
at the
that-
footer, Tom.
Do you like this one better?
Now it's
You
at the
scroll
foot.
down to the bottom of the webpage,
It's at the
in our
bottom.
footer, the logo is.
Maybe we'll get a good enough logo, we can put it at the top.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Just a
know.
thought.
I guess what I was looking for is that when the first page appears, not the
Yes.
third page, that it was the logo. And those go back to comments I've made about the website before, not necessarily in this group, but, so I think it's good that we're looking at it, and I think that it should look like a seal, that's.
And you don't mean
Yeah.
the animal?
No, I don't mean the
Okay,
animal.
because that could be confusing.
Like the federal
Like an
logo
imprint.
Yes.
is a
Yes.
seal that appears on all
Like
kinds
our
of things.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on.
Any other
Degenerating.
comments before we vote? Any other relevant comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Go forth and figure it out.
Sally.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Wellness Committee.
So, Madam Chairwoman, I'm going to handle this.
Okay.
I've been working with the Wellness Committee for the last several months. They asked me to present on their behalf.
Okay.
The prior item flows nicely into this item because what I'm presenting is employee-driven. So what we're going to talk about is a proposed wellness policy. We have put together a slide giving you an overview of why we're doing this, the reasons to develop a policy, the past efforts, current efforts of the current committee, as well as we've included the policy for your review, and then the steps moving forward, what happens next after you, the commissioners, approve the policy. So if you recall back at the first meeting in May, we presented to the board 4 recommendations as what to do with the county's approximately $12 million fund balance. And if you recall, one of the recommendations, item 4, was that you consider investing in employees. And in that particular item 4, we did call out the wellness initiative that is ongoing, looking at investing in this. So that for you to approve the policy that's being presented before you is the first critical step of moving forward and creating a wellness program and perhaps funding that in the future. The other reason why we think that this is important to do it, I'm sorry.
Maybe on the clicker there.
There we go. Too much caffeine. The other big reason why we want to do this is because we have models out there that we've looked at that show that adopting a wellness policy has positive financial impacts for the county, and that it could very well significantly reduce our overall healthcare costs. And if I could just indulge you for a minute and just explain to you the Oakland Press article here and Oakland County's program, which is called OakFit. If you'd like to look at it yourself, you can go to wellness.oakgov.com, which is a really great program that they put together about 10 years ago. And they do things like subsidized physical fitness, have employees participate in 5Ks, fun runs, things of that nature. They do Lunch and Learn series focused on health and well-being, as well as provide health screening for employees. And we were able to reach out to Oakland County staff, who was able to give us some of the numbers behind the $24 million savings that they are highlighted in the Oakland Press article. And really, the goal in doing this and the goal that Oakland County has achieved is lowering the at-risk employees, those employees who, because of blood pressure, cholesterol, glucose, body mass index, they're at risk for stroke, heart attack, cancer, etc. So if you reduce the at-risk employees, that is going to reduce your health care costs. Stated differently, nationally, 20% of the high-risk individuals drive 80% of your health care costs. And if you think about it, it's common sense, right? If you're not well, then you're filing claims because you need to see the doctor and you need several prescriptions. So, give more detail on what Oakland County saw was from 2007 to 2012, their health care costs increased on average about 9%. Okay, so for about this 5-year window, about 9%. When the program got rolling from 2012 to 16, it was 3% increase annually. 17, it was a bump up, but still well under the 9% at 6%. In addition, Oakland County has 100 private and nonprofit partner organizations that work with the county in implementing this program. So it's very impressive, and it's a good model for us to look at. So what did we do before? Well, we've had a program for a long time. The prior policy is attached to your packet. I'm not going to go into length about it. We've just highlighted a few of the things that we did. The point that we wanted to show, however, is that the wellness team was disbanded in 2016. So for about 2 years, we really haven't done much of anything when it came to employee wellness. Currently, we reestablished the committee. Several of the members are here, so I'd like to just individually recognize them for all their hard work. Jenny McKellar, Brian Walsh, Ming Mays, Tricia Moore, Melanie Schultz, and Sarah Adams. I'd also like to highlight Sarah Eichberger. Sarah is recognized as a team member, which I think she really is, but what she does for us is she's not a team member technically, she just facilitates the discussion. Sarah is a dietitian with MSU Extension, so she's been really helpful in getting the ball moving forward and having us develop this policy. So the first thing that we did is, with Sarah's help, was this DO process, Designing Healthy Environments at Work process, which is available online at michigan.gov through the Health and Human Services Department. A big part of that was we did a survey where we asked employees, what do you want in a wellness policy? The other work that we did is we wanted to not just write a policy, but we wanted to do something. And so we established the bike share program. And then also we converted to healthier vending throughout all county buildings. And finally, we drafted the wellness policy, which you have in front of you tonight. So here is the results of the interest survey, which you see the majority, or 50%, are interested in increasing physical activity and having classes and programs. And then you see the rest of the breakout there. I'd like to talk a minute about the bike share program that was started in June and is a collaboration between the county and Norte. And what we did is we sat down with Ty Schmidt from Norte, and we approached him and said, look, what we want to do is we want to have bikes that employees can use on breaks, and bikes that employees can use if they're traveling from one county building to another county building or wherever in the city. So with Ty's help, we were able to buy 4 new bikes from McLean's at a discounted rate because of Norte's relationship with McLean's and the other bike shops. Norte helped us design the logo. We implemented a QR scanner, so all you have to do if you have a QR app on your phone is you go up to the bike, you scan it, and then you're able to book it for hour increments through your phone. Then Norte also said if there's ever a flat or minor mechanical issues, they will fix it for no charge at their clubhouse, which exists at the Civic Center. This is a pilot program. It does end September 1st. So far, the data we've gathered is it is being used by county employees on a regular basis. And so that's something we would like to consider in the future. Perhaps even get the city involved in this, the DDA, other entities here in Traverse City to work with us on this. The other thing we did was vending, and I know we've talked about vending before at prior commissioners' meetings. Prior to establish the new vending, we had 8 different vendors throughout the county buildings that really we didn't know who was providing what, under what terms, what type of revenue we were generating from it, and what are our healthy choices. So we thought if we went to one vendor, it could provide us more healthy choices and also give us a revenue stream that we can then use for the wellness program or other employee initiatives. So we have now switched to a single vendor for all vending in all our buildings. So you have the wellness policy in front of you. I'll just highlight a few things. One, our current policy, although it's not a bad policy, it's just a page. It doesn't have much detail. It really needs to be updated. The new employee calls for supporting health and wellness, encourages physical fitness and healthy eating, focuses on healthy initiatives. Again, we use the survey, the employee survey, to build our policy. So what do we do next? Well, we'd like the commissioners to adopt the policy. We'd like to then promote a healthier environment here in the county for our employees. And then we'd like to encourage physical activity and do something with exercise. Currently, what we offer through our insurance priority is they have a program where you can get gym memberships at certain gyms for $25 down and $25 a month. There's also a relationship with the Y where county employees can use the Y, the central Y at the Civic Center, and the initiation fee is waived. But we'd like the Board of Commissioners to consider what else could the board do to promote physical fitness and have healthier employees. So once the policy is adopted, under the terms of the policy, funding the wellness program would be an annual budget discussion. And then there would be some dedicated staff time in the HR department to develop a program. Again, the model we looked at is Oak Fit, and then ultimately to just repeat more fitness opportunities for employees, because that was the biggest issue that employees raised in the survey. So that's all I have. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have. Again, this wasn't my work. This was the work of the committee, and so they deserve all the thanks.
Tom?
Well, I think it's a great idea, and I support this. I guess what comes to mind is that we have a jail, and I'm wondering with the new, we have to have a new contract for the food service, because it's coming up within the next few months, or surely within the next 6 months, and that we check with Oakland County or other counties and see if any of this also includes their jails. If for no other reason that we have to get a new contract with the food service for the jail, it's coming up. So is there anything that other counties believe in that would help serve us and, for the employees and the employees of the jail as well? Fewer pharmaceutical drugs, adding to the cost of insurance, and better food, essentially. There's probably a relationship, I would guess. So I'd like to just throw that out. When we're looking at this, those people are under our custody. They don't have a choice, and I would like us to look at that when we look at the wellness for the whole county organization.
Cheryl and then Sunny.
I like the policy. I think it's very detailed. I would be interested, before I approve it, in knowing how much money you're projecting you're going to need to make this work. I know right now there's a budget of about $7,000, I think.
Yeah, there's actually $5,000. There's a line item in the budget designated for wellness funds. Oakland County, by comparison, which I know has probably 10 times the number of employees, and it's somewhat of an apples and oranges comparison. I get that, but they do budget $400,000 annually. I nobody's going to ask for that amount of money.
Sure.
That would be a good thing.
Well, and
nobody's going to ask for $400,000.
Well, that's good, and I'm saying that I'm not going to vote for this until I know what you are going to ask for, because I think that we need to know what your expectations are, and what the plan is going to be. I mean, it's one thing to say we're going to do this and this and this, but I want to see the implementation. I'd also like to know the amount of time that you're looking for, release time, because our HR department, I think, is going to be really busy once we get an HR person in there, because there's a lot of things that have been not dealt with over the last few years because we haven't had an HR department. And so, how much time and how much money are, I think, important questions. And I think it's also interesting that you did a survey, and it looks like you had 184 responses out of 531 submissions. So what is the employee interest in wellness? It's about a third responded to your survey. So 2/3
Right.
of the employees are not interested, or
they're perhaps like me, who at the end of conferences, seminars, just don't want to answer surveys and would like to focus
well,
on
we
other
want to
things.
participate in wellness activities.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have an answer. I guess to answer your question, Cheryl, is the policy specifically states that the HR department, shall develop a program. So once we have an HR director in place, I would anticipate that person could develop a budget. But it really becomes a chicken versus an egg type thing. So if we don't have the policy in place, then how do we move on to the next steps and say this is our budget because these are the things we'd like to do. So what I'm asking you, and I do understand your concern, and it's the concern that it's an important question, what is this gonna cost? But I still think adopting the policy now, before we get into specifics, that's probably the right approach to take.
Okay, well, and I'll just say in response to that, we approve a policy and then you come back and say, well, we can't make this policy work unless we get $100,000 a year. So I don't want to get into that argument. I mean, there's got to be some number between $5,000 and $400,000 that, you're thinking. I mean, what is it that what's going to cost money? Because, what you've laid out here are things that I'm not envisioning. I mean, we're sure not going to be paying for gym memberships for everybody. I mean, you're not proposing that, are you?
I am not proposing really any specifics. I'm not, because I don't know. Because it's not my policy, it's not my program.
Well, you're on the team.
But I am on the team, and I
And you
believe
have a vision.
and I believe in the vision, and
Yeah.
I believe in that's a good policy. I think these are things that can be worked out. I don't think anybody envisions asking for 6 figures. I don't. What that number is, I can't tell you.
Sunny and then Dan.
Well, wellness is one of those things we've kicked back and forth for a long time in the county. I remember when there was a gym across the road, and we had discounted memberships for a number of county employees that participated in that. I recall when we tried to implement a physical testing into sheriff's department contracts, and Nate will remember this, that we tried to create a bonus effect for deputies if they passed a certain fitness criteria, and we couldn't get it through the union. So there's all different pieces of this. I got an email recently from someone who's not all excited about your vending machines downstairs because he says the cost is 50% higher. I'm just saying this out. I personally like the idea of a wellness program, and we had one in the past and it was eliminated, as you said. It probably was never fleshed out as well as it should have been. One of the things that we need to do is go back to our health insurance providers, because we found in the past that they could help us pay for some of those issues. I know that I have policies, and the ones for my employees that, if they do certain things, they get some bonuses and for that. It's a great idea. I'm certainly willing to do it, but you talk about the chicken and the egg. I guess I want one in each hand when I have the decision. Whether if I want the chicken around the neck and the egg in my hand at the same time when I'm trying to make the decision about how this works, and most likely it's going to be a 2019 budget item.
Sure.
But I certainly would encourage you to move forward with that. We repeatedly talk about why the county's health insurance costs so much money, and it comes back to usage. Our usage rate for county employees is through the roof, and that's why we pay so much money for county health care insurance for our employees, because our usage rate is ridiculous. Anything that we as a county, as an organization, can do to reduce that usage rate should save us money. And I'm all in favor of doing that. But not only does it save us money, but it saves us healthier employees. Because when we start looking at what we lose in productivity and service to the community because of employee issues, it becomes pretty obvious that we've got a problem. So it's a great discussion to have, and whether we have it today, whether we have it when we start the budget process, we are going to find out, we're going to hear repeatedly that our health insurance costs are driven by our usage rates. If a wellness program and contributing X number of dollars to a wellness program can reduce that health insurance rate, we will pay for it.
Dan?
Two things. Employees are being involved in this, and they're being paid while they're doing this, right? At their level?
Yeah, the committee meets during regular working hours,
And so
every other week.
Right, and those people spend how much time, do you think, in a committee meeting?
About an hour on average.
And they get paid their hourly rate for that, right?
Correct.
Okay. So when we are talking about the cost of this, do we incorporate in our minds the cost we're paying for their time or no?
No, I'm not sure I would consider it an employee cost, since it's employees doing work on behalf of the county, doing
But
county work.
it's not their
county
job
business.
description. You're taking a person away from, let's say, Bonnie. If there's a person in Bonnie's department that's working on this committee, she's not working for Bonnie at that particular point. I'm not being contrary, I just wonder how we're gonna account for their time.
Yeah, they're working on county business. Is there a direct connection to say what the clerk does or what the prosecuting attorney is?
I'm just saying it has a cost.
Yeah.
It's costing.
Oh, no doubt, Doctor, it does have a cost in the sense that it does involve staff time.
And the next, it makes common sense that if we do this, it'll save us money, but I'd like to prove it. I'd like to know that if, after we've implemented it a couple of years, we can show that it's saved us money. And are we gonna do that?
Yeah, I think, again, I encourage all of you to look at what Oakland County has done, and there is a successful program, and there are other studies out there that show that the
Well,
adoption.
they're
of this
spending
program-
$400,000, I wonder, are they getting $400,000 back? That's my
They're
point.
getting about 24 million back over the course of 10 years.
I'd like to know that, that it's, we say we're efficient, we say we're effective, but a lot of times we really don't, we're just saying it, we don't know it. And I'd like to have some type of performance addition to this, so
Sure.
we know that this is really working.
May I ask,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Dan, we can actually track the time, we can report that back to you in a myriad of ways. I think the employees' efforts to invest in the employees countywide is important here, and it's important to understand that that's what they're trying to do. I think we can easily report the time and the value of the time missed back to the board, if that's one way you want to consider that. It's an opportunity cost, certainly, to be doing something other than they're supposed to be doing. But the investment back to the employee is important to understand that as well. Our second quarter usage, so to speak, as reported through Lighthouse, is tracking much lower this year than it has the 2 previous years. And I have to believe, or would hope to believe, that would be because we have healthier employees, which leads to less usage, and some of the implementation of the HSA, which gives the employees a little bit more interaction with their health care. So we are tracking lower currently, and we expect to keep tracking lower for the remainder of this year. And you'll certainly see that report as we move on through this year. But if you want an accounting of the time, we could do that.
I'm not saying that, I just want to think about that.
Yeah, well, I agree.
I think, this is probably going to grow, and as time goes on, it's going to improve. I just want to have it measurable and manageable, and we know by facts and figures that it's working.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Tom, did you have another comment?
Yeah, again, I support the wellness idea, the initiative, but it doesn't have any costs attached to it. So we're working on the 2019 budget. It would seem natural that we'd see something to approve towards the budget. And, I look forward to this idea and seeing what kind of good it can do. I think we're going to save money by doing this. And maybe we can have some kind of a weight loss competition. I could easily lose 10 to 20% of my body fat, and I'd be willing to, compete with other people to lose weight with the other employees, just to show our intention, that we're really trying to become healthier individuals.
Sunny?
I can win it all by myself.
I wanted to speak a little bit about the bike share program. Chris, you will enjoy this. I was recently in South Bend, Indiana, for a wedding. They have a they call it a lime bike program. They literally have a couple hundred bicycles painted lime green, and they're just sitting in bike racks or sitting in yards or whatever all over the city. And you scan a credit card into them, get on the bike, and you ride it. And when you shut it off, you scan it back, and you get charged whatever the rate is. But these bikes are literally, somebody rode the bike home for lunch. Some neighbor comes out and wants a bike, and he takes the bike and goes somewhere else. The guy comes back out from lunch, and he doesn't have a bike.
But he got to pay the bill.
Yeah, but it's very interesting. There's literally hundreds of them, and they are being used constantly.
Didn't we have a bike thing here 20 years ago when the bikes ended up in the
Yeah,
river? I mean, it was free bikes. It was like you didn't have to scan anything or lock anything up.
Judge Gilbert sponsored a program like that.
And the
but-
bikes were in the
but
river. and
the whole Lime bike thing, and it's interesting. My nephew is the mayor of South Bend, so he has all kinds of tracking information that, of how many thousands of dollars and how many thousands of miles these bikes are ridden in a year. It's amazing.
I think the overall point with both of these presentations is there's an effort by county employees to engage county employees and kick the bucket a little bit and see if we can change the environment a little bit.
And
Nothing
that
here
is that is nothing but good.
Yeah,
It's
nothing here is-
but good for the employees, and it's nothing but good for the community.
Nothing here is free, but nothing here is going to break the bank. And certainly, we don't want to come to you with a budget recommendation that's going to, wash the bank. And we don't want to diminish the effect of these efforts. And so I thank the wellness team as well for their efforts here. And hopefully, we can come to resolution.
And certainly, if you want to wait, we get our HR director. We do give some specifics. We do have a recommendation. I don't have a problem with that at all.
I support this. I think we ought to do this, go for it, and then, it'll flesh out as time goes on. I just think eventually we need to have some kind of accountability so we know we're successful.
Absolutely.
I think that's the goal. Yeah.
You have to come up to the microphone, please, and identify yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Sarah Eichberger. I work for Emmons Extension here in Grand Traverse County, and I help to facilitate the process. Just I wanted two comments that came to mind regarding the 35% response rate. When you think about, so my background's in public health. I'm a public health nutrition practitioner. I'm also a registered dietitian. So this is this type of stuff I do on a daily basis, and know the evidence base, and have a pretty solid understanding of how worksite wellness works, and also generally around surveys as relates to health input. A 35% response rate is pretty higher than an average response rate when you're looking at surveys. So when I reviewed this data, I was like, wow, 35% responded. Typical online survey responses are between maybe 15 and 20. So that's really a great sign. The other thing is, to your comment, Dr. Dan, regarding the accountability. And when you think about worksite wellness best practice, that's one of the cornerstones. How can you measure success? What does success look like? Within the policy, the last page speaks to evaluation, and it speaks to the fact that before any efforts are implemented, an evaluation plan is identified from the very beginning. A best practice of any sort of public health intervention is when you evaluate and you know what success looks like. So I think, if I can speak a bit on behalf of this team, I think what we're really looking to move forward is the adoption of this policy. And I think Chris mentioned earlier, prior to this, there really was no policy as it relates to wellness. And if you're thinking about moving the county forward into the 21st century, being a model for other counties in this region, this is one way you can do it, not to mention increasing and enhancing the morale of the staff. Also, as it relates to best practices in terms of worksite wellness, it's generally an accepted best practice. When you think about a wellness team, at a work site, that staff are engaged in that process. And that's for several reasons. You want it to be successful, so you want engagement from the participants in which it speaks to. You want it to be spread within the work site so that other colleagues feel motivated to participate. And actually, many pieces of the policy don't cost anything. So, for example, physical activity during work breaks. I know some staff in the county have 2 15-minute work breaks a day, depending on their job class. What this is saying is that we encourage you to be physically active during those breaks. There is not a dime associated with that, from my understanding. It's really promoting a culture of health and wellness within this work site. So, in my opinion, as a public health practitioner and someone who participated in the facilitation of this process and someone who does this sort of work every day, what is written here is very much based on an evidence base and general best practices in public health. Thanks.
Cheryl?
And I don't disagree with any of that, and I've already said, I think the policy looks good. I don't have a problem with the policy. Would just like to see numbers attached to it. I just would like to see that, right now, there's a $5,000 pot of money, and we know that that's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how much is enough, and I don't know why. You said, well, it won't be 6 figures. Well, 95,000 isn't 6 figures, but 95,000 is a lot of money. And I know that most people can spend what they're given. And so I want to know what it's going to take, okay? I mean, is 30,000 going to make a difference? Is 80, what do you need the money for? That's what I want to know. I mean, she just identified things that don't take any money at all. What's the money going to go for? So when you come to us with a budget for the 2019 budget for this line item, I want to know what it's tied to.
Sonny?
Yeah, I guess the key point that probably Cheryl's getting to, and it rattles around in my mind, is I don't want to create a policy without an implementation plan. And the implementation plan is where the money's used and how we make it work. So, I think I'm absolutely supportive of the policy. I'd just like to flesh out the implementation plan of how are we going to enact this policy.
All right.
If we do that, I think we're all on board.
Yep.
What do we want to do?
Well,
We either-
how about I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead,
If we
Dave.
may, can we come back to you during the budget discussions, and we will give you a policy that, with an implementation plan and a budget for 2019. Would that be fair?
Perfect.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect solution that we move it forward.
Sarah wants.
The implementation is identified in the policy.
Great, but there's no numbers tied to it.
Correct. And that's often because when you think about policy change as it relates to worksite wellness, it often doesn't cost anything. And that's the
Good.
beauty of public health.
Perfect.
And so
That brings a smile to my
exactly.
face.
So I think what Chris mentioned to earlier, the comment he was moving towards is there can't be, or it's impossible to generate a budget at this point because the committee that will be established to implement this policy, working in coordination with HR, has to first identify what those items might be. And I would imagine a lot of them wouldn't cost anything. And some of them might. But it really depends on where this committee and team want to move forward. So there is a detail in the policy about implementation as well as evaluation.
So we'd like them to come back to us.
They're going to bring us some more information.
Absolutely.
Super,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, we will continue to the discussion at a different time. Facilities management. We have approval of HVAC units at
So
the Civic
moved.
Center.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Gorfulet, supported by Commissioner Wheelock. Do we have any?
I've got a question.
Mr. Berry could not be here, and if I could,
Accepting first.
he has summarized in your packet, these are HVAC units that were scheduled for replacement. The project was budgeted in the CIP fund. His cost is lower than the budget estimates by $18,000. He's recommending we buy factory direct. And why the Aon units, if you would entertain some explanation here, which maybe this will answer some of Commissioner Klaus's questions. And Joe provided this to me earlier today. The Aon units have no belts. So compared to other competitors, that's a lower maintenance cost over their life expectancy. They're also insulated better. It's a R13 foam injected construction, and that alone saves $800 to $1,000 a year in their operating costs. The Aon units utilize lower turn-down modulating gas burners. Competitors have staged heat at best and normally are single-stage heat. Aon units have a 25-year heat exchanger warranty. Competitors normally top out at 10 years. And Aon has a VIDS supply motor for softer starts, lower operating costs, and can change the airflow if noise or sound is an issue. Their life expectancy is 25 to 30 years. Most of the competition is at 15 years at best. So Joe is recommending factory direct, the Aon, and that is all I can share, basically. But
Well,
we
and
can-
one of my questions that I was going to ask Joe is that he indicated in his report here that it's a 25-year on the burner, and I was quite confident that's a heat exchanger. But also the pool, the locker room, is strictly a heater, not an air conditioner. One of these units is heating and air conditioning, the other one's just a heater, which I'm fine with it. I don't intend on, I don't see in my future of going in and, the locker room myself, but I don't know why we would not put air conditioning in when it's an extra $2,000.
I'll have to ask Joe about that, but I do know that this is part of the entire building environmental system at the Civic Center, including the pool. I can't answer that question.
And this must be rated for the pool, because with the caustic chlorine in the air, I mean, that's gonna, it's gonna shorten the lifespan of any furnace or any kind of air conditioning unit.
I think we need to ask Joe that
Okay.
question, but we're not using chlorine.
No, it's
It's a
salt. Oh, it's salt, okay.
salt-based system, so, but we owe you an
Just-
answer on it. I can't answer that.
Right, no, and I'm,
Joe left today, he was not feeling well, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry you're stuck with.
yeah, well, and I don't have any plans of not approving it, but it's just
So the
questions that I'm
question
sure.
would be, are both units AC?
Right, one of them is not, one of them is
Okay.
just a heater.
Yeah, it says that one of them's just a heater.
Right, which just seems kind of odd that the locker rooms would be for heat only and not air conditioning, but it's, for $2,000, it just didn't seem.
We will
Knowing
talk to
Mr. Berry,
Joe.
he has a reason,
I-
so I'll ask him and we'll get back to you. But-
Sure, but I think we ought to get it done. I mean, we want to,
So are you, if it is something that is an add-on, you'd want us to do the two AC units versus the one?
I'm sure it's going to be done properly. It's just a question I have as to why we wouldn't have air conditioning in the locker rooms.
Okay. So, could the motion reflect that we would be allowed that extra funding if he felt that was sufficient?
Okay, the maker and the second will approve the idea of adding the extra $2,000 if it's deemed not appropriate to add air conditioning to the locker room also. There may be a reason they don't. I know that I do some work at Great Wolf Lodge, and they have some significant issues with their air handling units just simply because of the type of air that they move. And it builds up on the fans and literally has to be sandblasted off on a regular basis. I don't know how that's done. So, there are things that happen with these type of environments that I'm not familiar with, and
Right, nor am I.
Ron may be, but
I'm just
I'm
asking
certainly not.
questions.
But I do know that there are certain circumstances in these air handlers that, take certain types of equipment.
We will get that information back.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, there you go. Ming is back. Vendors for network upgrade and redesign. And we have something on our desk about this today.
Can I make the motion?
You can.
Sure.
So
And then we
moved.
can hear, okay.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Gorfulet, supported by Commissioner Wheelock. Now, Ming may tell us about it. Go for it.
Well, while she's teeing that up, I can tell you that since April, Ming and her team have been working diligently on this project, and there were some ebbs and flows in the process, and she really did have her hands full, and she was busy working on this project. And she came up with a solution that we support, and we think it's going to be a great idea for the county. And Penny Hill is here from the city as well. We have not had a lot of opportunity to talk to the city about this project, but I did meet with she and Marty Colburn last week, and Penny can speak for herself, but the city is committed to the IT structure and the relationship that we have within the agreement. So,
Which is what, 25%, Nate?
30%.
Yeah, it's a little higher than that, 31%, 31%.
Well, I think what this is a perfect example of Grand Traverse County making a commitment to move forward with IT developments that we've gotten way behind on for a multitude of reasons. But the fact is, this is a huge step for us to bring our IT programs into compliance, if you will, with the modern day world.
Appreciated the comment. It made me feel like I shouldn't go 12-page presentation.
Yeah, that's good. Go with that.
No.
Just
Tell us the
Give us the
highlights.
highlights. Give us the
Give us
highlights.
some highlights, Ms. Ming.
We've read it.
Maybe go to the proposal and your ideas on how this should look the next 5 years.
Okay. Okay, let me recruit that. So I'm gonna skip the problems, because you probably know that already.
We know them.
think we
We
need
know
the
the
problem.
status.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do about it?
So I really want to tell you my goal. I think I know we met a few times, and I'm here a few times, and I feel like I'm more confident with you guys and get to know my 13 months here, and it's been a journey, and I think it's a great journey, and I really appreciate it giving me the opportunity. I can carry on this and really bring the county to be the 21st century county, and somewhere that my staff's proud to work, and also myself, and hopefully the community can see the PR is totally different than what we did with the last couple of years. Even I'm new, but I'm passionate at that. So I just want to tell you my primary goal is to enhance the technology, infrastructure, and solution for our county. And this is my county too. I'm definitely passionate to see what I can contribute with my team, and I cannot do this alone. And I'm really glad that the admin team and finance and you guys really support me and have truly behind me on this. I plan to do so by modernizing the network infrastructure with the end goal of providing a reliable, secure, efficient, and compliant IT environment. This will set a foundation for future success and supporting upcoming projects, like Forza IP, which is we don't have that, and improving our existing wireless network. This project will able to do that. Reducing the cyber risk is out there. Even, like it happened every day. It's getting worse and worse. My team and I will strive to provide our county with the 21st century technology to better serve our community. That's my goal, and I think that's what I'm here for. And I hope you guys know that. So for the RFP, it really took 4 months, but it's totally worth it. So the RFP has 3 areas. The first one is the network layer. We're replacing and upgrading, and we designed the Grand Traverse County wired network. The upgrading fiber loop connecting 5 campus from 1 gig to 10 gig. That means 10 times faster than our current speed. And that's huge for us. And our second area is for focus to greatly increase the visibility and monitoring and control of the network traffic. And the last piece is focus replace existing Category 5 cables. And which is, Cat 5 cables is outdated and create latency. So I just want to summarize of this project. If this project is awarded tonight, which it is, I'm excited. We will replace 52 of the network devices. We will be able to implement 1 network access control monitoring tool, and also replace and upgrade cabling in 4 buildings, which means total of 400 network connection drops. So we received it. So I posted on the web Minton site in June, and we had 76 vendors review and download this RFP. 4 vendors submitted, and 6 proposals were received and evaluated by my team and I. So the initial total amount of the bid, the lowest bid, the total amount was $492,000. And the maximum bid was $697,000. And my team and I was able to negotiate with the submitted vendor for competitive pricing. And we reduced by close to $40,000. So my recommendation for Area 1 vendor is Presidio at $302,973.76. And for the Area 2 for the vendor is Centennial at $53,669. We were able to get a 51% discount off the hardware cost, as well as 0% financing with no fees for the next 5 years, plus a $6,000 training credit bonus from Cisco. That's a big win. It's worth to wait. Also, by having select 2 vendors for Area 1 and 2, we were able to save another $11,000. And then for the cabling portion, I would like to recommend FNC to do the cabling. It's at $108,994.74. FNC was the only cable vendors that responded to the RFP, but FNC is a building certified vendor, which is covered by a manufacturer warranty against defects, a period of 25 years. We have worked with FNC for prior projects, and FNC is a great local company to work with.
Question?
Yes.
The cabling portion, I
Yes.
see it has a 25-year warranty, but only at the original installation location. So my question is, are you anticipating needing to change locations? Because I know that you had spent quite a bit of time initially doing some of that. So,
No,
okay, so there, no changes.
no changes.
Excellent.
And then truly, the cabling we're choosing, majority of the building, we choose 6A, which is the latest and greatest cable for, for network data. So
Super.
it should be 25 years proof.
Yeah,
Great.
well, I remember when Cat 5 was the newest and greatest things, and it's only been about 12, 15 years ago. So,
yeah.
you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
So,
Thank you.
do I still have to request the approval, or can I just move on, or how do you want me to?
We already made a motion to
We already
approve.
made a
Yeah.
motion
So
to
I-
approve
I'm
the
not- I gotta
resolution.
skip that page.
Go ahead.
But I promise this is the last thing. Last but not least, I really want to thanks my entire team. They've been really supporting me for the last 13 months, and I really cannot do it by myself. This is a lot discovering, writing an action plan. Only being here 3 months is not easy. But with their help, I'm really able to do this, and I feel like I truly can carry on. And I want to especially thank these 3 gentlemen. For this project, they really worked hard for me the last 4 months. And they are Chris Robert, Randy Falcons, and John Wilson. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, comments? Yes, Ron?
Ming, on your,
Yes.
the first page, you've got 5 years, $71,000. Is that the payment schedule for this project?
Yes, for the Area 1 and Area 2. Cabling, I cannot get financing, but for the network portion and then the monitor tool, I can get financing through Cisco. That's why I kind of have a 2 portion there. So this first year in
Okay.
2018, there's a total of $180,394.74. And then 2019 to 2022, then we'll be at the $71,000 payment.
Okay. All right.
So we're upfront loading the cable installation. But as far as all of the upgrades, the rest of the upgrades, we will finance those over 5 years at 0 interest.
And the beauty of it too, the equipment is already have the 5-year maintenance fee built in. So should not have additional cost for this project for the budget year, like the next 4 years.
Super.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Thank you
opposed?
so much.
Thank you.
There you go.
Ming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ming. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent job. Okay, we move on to an update regarding the jail ad hoc committee's recommendation.
Are we going to take a mercy break? Is this
We
gonna
can
be
take a mercy
short,
break.
or-
This is going to be very short unless
good.
Nate wants to
If you
talk for a long
promise.
time.
You have 7 minutes, Sonny.
No, you
No,
have
I'm kidding.
3 minutes.
I was trying to be generous.
All I wanted to tell you is, I had promised you that you would have draft contracts from CMH.
They're still working
We
on
do
them.
not have those
Yeah.
contracts. We have a meeting scheduled on Friday. Nate, myself, Captain Ritter are meeting with Carl and Joni and someone else from their legal department, I believe, to make sure that we have these contracts right. You know, the proposal as of late last week was she was going to get it to Captain Ritter and make sure everything was okay. I said, well, don't send it to Captain Ritter if you don't send it to Nate and I, because the fact is Todd may have things that he wants to change, and then you go change those, and then we're not happy. No, you need to make sure we see all of them, so, and
Next time.
we're trying to make sure that we get the contract right the first time, so we're going to meet with them on Friday afternoon.
Okay. Wow, Cheryl's impressed. A thumbs up for the brevity. Okay, moving on to no new business. We have second public comment. Anybody left who would like to make any comments? Nobody's jumping up. Okay, move on to commissioner and department reports. Anybody? Nobody. Okay. Current job openings, quickly. We have, and all three of these are closing on August 10th. They already closed. But let's go with, we are always looking for sheriffs or correctionals officers with the sheriff's department, deputies for the sheriff's office, medical examiner investigator part-time, and seasonal law enforcement deputies for the Marine Division. Those are continuous. The others closed 5 days ago, so we won't bring those up. Anybody else for the good of the cause? Okay.
We do have a need for a closed session.
We do
here.
have a need for a closed session.
Madam Chairman, I would move we go into closed session to meet with the attorney to consider strategy connected with negotiations of collective bargaining agreements.
Second that?
Moved by Commissioner Wheelock, supported by Commissioner Mayer. Any discussion? We will not have a decision coming out of this. Roll call vote, please.
Wheelock?
Yes.
Gore Follett?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yeah.
Klaus?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes. So we will be back.